And now it's time for a podcast with Kelby Owens. Keep dreaming, my friend. Keep dreaming.
Hello and welcome to Keep Dreaming, episode 15. This is a podcast about dreams, the video game and creation engine for PlayStation, and the community that brings it to life. I'm your host, Kelby Owens, and we're broadcasting live at my Twitch page on Sunday, February 6th. And my guests today are all wonderful humans who participated in Season 1 of Flix. If you don't know what Flix is, it is a collaborative community filmmaking project that I launched last year in April. Ran about 4 or 5 months. We did 7 episodes, and and the way it worked is you would have a week to create assets. Actually, let me just rewind. So we would get together on Sundays here at my Twitch channel, and we would take suggestions on themes for the week's episode. We would vote on them in chat, and then once we had all of our suggestions, we would make assets based on those for a week. The second week would be creating films using those assets, and then the third week would be voting on your favorite films in Dreams. And then we would have those top films become the episode for or represent the episode, and then the other ones would go into the bonus features. That's sort of just the broad strokes of what the event was all about. Season 2 is launching in April sometime. And so I wanted to have some of the people who participated last year on the show just to have a discussion about what was good and bad in Season 1 and what we might want to do differently in Season 2. And I got a big ol' wall of dreamers in front of you. I'm just gonna go through and let you know who they are. If you're watching the visual right now, in the top left, you've got Avox 23, the raccoon to his right, his left. We're going left to right, top to bottom. The raccoon. There's only one raccoon. This isn't difficult. The raccoon is Donnie the Burb, or Donnie the Raccoon Burb today. The sweatshirt floating there in the middle of that camera was Duckonomics, and the dragon, Falco Rich, only one dragon. Unfortunately, I can't get rid of my own little square there for reasons. But next to me, but I get to be in the Alice spot in the Brady Bunch square. That's nice. Next to me is Zelly Beans, aka Sulky Tardigrade on Dreams. And below that, we've got Road Kirby and Insane Alpha Beta, and then that last one with the Discord logo. Just ignore that one too, because I can't hide them selectively. So there are 7 dreamers, 9 squares, and 1 Keld. And with all that, let's start. Let's throw it to the panel. I want to start with a softball for everyone, and I'd like to ask everyone to share either something they liked about Flix Season 1, the event, like something they liked about the event, or if you don't have a particular thought there, then I'd love to hear about someone else's work that you liked, someone's film or someone's asset that really stood out to you from Season 1. And why don't we start with the dragon? Falco Rich, what do you think about Season 1? What did you like about it?
I like that it was a community event. You don't have to know animation. You could just make asset, and everybody could contribute. And it was fun, for myself making the movies, and didn't do a whole lot of animation prior to that. So, it was a good chance to learn stuff, and also, see what everybody else was making as well.
I really enjoyed your. I enjoyed all your films, but the first one stuck out to me. Super Martian had some really funny beats in it. Let's see. Avox, what have you got?
I would agree with Falcarich in that I liked the aspect where if, as a community, you contribute, even if you didn't make a film, you could make an asset, like a character, and when that character shows up in someone else's film, you're like, hey, I made that guy, you know? Like you contributed, and it's cool to see something that you made being used in someone else's creative work. And it could be something small. You could just, model a phone or a phone booth or something, and then they could end up in the, being a part of the scene, and I think that's a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, that's it's like kind of like a more zoomed in version of Dreams in general, where you make something in Dreams, and then it's a unique thrill, like just stumbling upon your creation while you're playing someone else's game or watching their short. Or Avox made the one that your creation that sticks out obviously is the 10-minute epic. What was it called?
It might be the longest episode, right? Or longest short. I'm not sure. I
think it is.
I know. I really stretched that limit, but yeah, my intention was to try and unify the all the preceding episodes to that point in a narrative way. So some of it's a bit of a stretch, but I mean, it kind of has to be with the the kind of ridiculousness that made up the first episodes.
Oh man, I didn't even get to see that.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Episode 7. So the first 6 episodes all worked the way I was describing earlier. Episode 7, you were allowed to use any asset that had been created for the whole season. So you could use anything from episodes 1 to 6, and there was no theme. And so I think most people went meta. I made a 7-minute documentary interviewing the cast members. I did the I don't know, like a faux fourth wall breaking. Avox had a crazy documentary that linked all the stories that people had told together. And it was a fun one. It was a very fun one.
I feel a little bad though, because I actually didn't make any episodes for, I shouldn't say episodes. Episodes are the collection. I didn't make any shorts for the previous episodes. I always wanted to be involved. I made a couple of assets, I did, but they're just small, minor things. I was like, man, I really want to make something for Dreamflix, but it wasn't until the very end, where it was the last episode, I was like, all right, fine, I'm gonna do something, and I could use all the previous assets. So I was like, okay, cool. What if I do this? And it ended up working out just great. And then I wasn't gonna have a narration for it. It was just gonna be text, or I was gonna try and like just do it myself. But I actually managed to get Treble, sounds like Treble, who's also a dreamer. And he was able to record the narration last minute, so I was really grateful for that, and it turned out really good, I think.
Yeah, he did a really good job with the voiceover. I really loved the way, like when episode 7, when we did episode 7, I liked how it tied everything together, and it suddenly felt like we have a universe here. Like it suddenly felt like all these things exist in this ecosystem.
I agree. I think episode 7 felt like a celebration of Dreamflix.
Yeah. It felt like we got to celebrate everyone's work. Another cool short that someone made for episode 7 was Tricobalt made a long short where he used at least one piece of every single asset that was made for Dreamflix. So like one of the ways he did that was made this ridiculous, hey Lena. Oh no.
Oh no. Lena's
Sorry, kitty interruption.
Yes.
Oh boy.
That's part of the show.
Oh,
it's all part of the
no.
show. Everyone stay in your seats.
It's scripted.
Bring Lena up for a boot. I'll get the cat the boot.
I need the treats. Zelly Beans brought treats to lure the cats. I need positive reinforcement.
This is for Lena.
Oh
my God, they're out. They're out.
So yeah. Anyways, Tricobalt made a short where they used a piece of every single asset that was made, and one of the elements of that was creating this huge like Voltron-like character with just pieces of all these different characters on it, and like you kind of got to see it. You got to see it, but it was a good time. Zelly Beans. What did you love about season 1? Zelly Beans made a few films, but Hognautica Speedrun still sticks out in my mind.
That's the one that defines me. Oh, God, I hate it.
That was a great one.
It was so hard. That pig, the pig just disappears halfway through. I couldn't figure it out.
Every time I watch it, I think, how would you? What would be a better way to do that? I know you said you struggled trying to get that rig to work.
The way I did it was very bad because it ended up being kind of like nested in some way. Like, the camera had to be like grouped with the rig, and then I was using like action recorders to like move the rig to various places.
Yeah.
And like then that had to be in a timeline. Something about it where like I basically could never just go to a certain place on a timeline and be like, okay, here's what's recorded here. I'd have to go to the actual beginning of the main timeline for it to work. So at some point, I just started letting it get a little bit sloppy.
That is
the voiceover to whatever's happening on the screen.
That is one of the tricky parts about filmmaking in Dreams, is depending on how, like, I've had to go in and make edits to people's films that they made for Dreamflix, and depending on how they set it up, like, if you want to make a change that's 90 seconds in, you have to, you might have to start watching from the very beginning, especially because, and I've done the same thing. Like, my films turn out the same way, so this is not criticism on other people's technique. But you basically, like, you might do things like, I've got a keyframe that happens early on that's set to keep changes. And if you don't play that keyframe, then a necessary change doesn't happen that makes something else down the road work. Or like, at the 1 minute mark, I just destroyed this puppet just because I didn't need it anymore, get it out of the way. And then, I queue up the timeline at 2 minutes and that puppet is there when it should have been destroyed because et cetera, et cetera. So, definitely one of the challenges of filmmaking in Dreams. How about? Did we tangent Zelly Beans, or did I give you a chance to answer the question?
Oh, what I liked about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Did I tangent?
Not keyframes, not Hognautica. It was cool how it would rotate between the different weeks. So like there'd be creation week, and then like where you'd be making assets, and then the week where you'd be making the video, because it felt like I could maybe start having ideas during that first week a little bit, Yeah. But compressing all that work in, like making videos is really hard in Dreams. And so you kind of need that week off to just sculpt something. And so it felt nice, like kind of compressing that. It's nice.
Nice. How about Road Kirby?
And let everyone participate.
Road Kirby, can you tell us something that... either something you liked about season 1, or someone else's work that you really liked, a film that stuck out to you, anything like that. Hey, Zelly Beans. Sorry, real quick. Zelly Beans, we're hearing that bag pretty loud.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all good. Go ahead, Road Kirby.
I just really liked Dreams. I really liked the concept. The pull-off was, like most movies, pull-off was great and creative. People were really creative with it. I love seeing what they do with it, like with the models, how crazy the things can get. It's just seeing your creations being used in something like this would be pretty exciting anyways, too.
Yeah, and Road Kirby jumped right in on episode 1. I think you made at least one asset and one of the films for the very first episode, which I appreciate.
I'm not really good with modeling, so that's mostly why I don't do the ads.
You know what though? I still remember your character was the rock with the baseball
Yeah.
cap, right?
Yeah, the googly eyes.
I mean, still, it's a really simple character, but memorable. Memorable. That character lives in my brain now, and it's welcome. Donnie, the raccoon herb,
Oh no, I'm being put on the spot.
creator of Pigitis.
Yes,
Pigitis. Look, if we had to vote on like the best of the entire season, Pigitis is definitely in my like top 5 for the entire season. I really
It's definitely one of my best.
Donnie.
Well, it's definitely one of my favorite. Oh, am I?
And Donnie, if you haven't seen the timeline, the Pigitis plays a big part in the story. So
Oh, no,
Yeah.
no, I need to see that then.
oh yeah.
My thing is opposite from Falco Ridge is I am horrible at asset making. Every time I try doing modeling, it just came out as a blob of clay. So I really like doing the animating side. It was just such a nice thing of if you were bad at making assets, you can still be good at storytelling and animating. Which from me doing all the 60-minute challenges and uh, Dreamflit. I was very longer animation person, not quality animation.
Yeah,
I just tried to
Donnie
make
would tell
long
like
stories.
a 5-minute story, like put together a 5-minute story in a 60-minute window,
Yeah,
which is
and I
which is
remember
ridiculous.
I remember you told me he was like, "Hey, for this episode of Dreamflix, we're limiting you to 3 minutes, or was it 5 minutes?" And I said, "Kel, I bet I can make a 10-minute film." He's like, "Honey, if you can make a 10 minutes film, I will raise the cap and would gift sub or something like that." And I
Yeah.
went in, made Pigitis completely 10 minutes.
I think I
Wow.
had it at 3 minutes, and I got a little pushback, and you were probably the main pusher. But yeah, no, I think I said, yeah, Donnie, if you're going to make a 5-minute film, then I will make the limit 5 minutes.
Yeah, that what it was. So it was really, I really liked that. And one of my favorite creations from Dreamflix. I'm gonna be so mad if this isn't Dreamflix since this was a 60-minute challenge. The one with the robot in the stairs.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was Dreamflix.
Yeah,
Taking the
I
Stairs
really love that one.
by Dono DJ. That one, I think that is one of the tightest shorts in the entire series, in the entire season. It's just really, really succinct. Like the editing is very tight, and it manages to tell like a complete story with, I think, no dialogue. I don't think there's any dialogue, any subtitles, no voiceover.
That's right.
Just a tight little story about a robot who can't get up the stairs.
There was some dialogue.
Was there
When the
dialogue?
thing with legs. Yeah, when the thing with legs was being attacked, it was like a text to speech. Oh no!
Like,
What are
ow,
you doing?
ow.
Ow!
There you
Ow!
There you go.
So there was a little dialogue.
Yeah, I really love that one too, Donnie. That was definitely a standout. Insane Alpha Beta, the voice we just heard. What can you tell us that you liked about season 1, or what are some creations that you liked?
There are a few different things I liked. I liked that I was able to work on assets when I just didn't have time to make any of the films.
Yeah.
Although there were some instances where I would have liked to have been able to work on the film while people were working on assets because I didn't need any of the assets for what I was going to make.
I have a
And
feeling
that would have been...
that's going to come up again in the discussion here.
There's another thing that's probably going to come up, because another thing I liked towards the end was how it became... Because I didn't feel like it was very clear at first, but it was more clear later, where you didn't have to strictly follow the 3... what are they called? Prompts.
Suggestions.
And
I
as
think
long
we
as
had
it was,
prompts and then
as long as you
suggestions.
followed at least one of them, you were good to go. I like that it was more vague like that later on. And I also like that I was the moment you had mentioned that with the last episode we're going to be able to use all the assets and do what we want, I immediately knew I was going to tie it back into Random Quest, and that was my mission to make it come full circle, and I was really happy I was able to do that.
Just to color that in, Random Quest, well, first it was one thing and then it was another thing. But then most recently, I wanted to create some sort of community event where people could create things separately and we could link them together, basically.
Wait,
and
you brought back Random Quest again?
I mean, this was like for
Random
a month
Quest
or something.
pretty much became Dreamflix.
This is
that was
prototype
basically it. Like,
Dreamflix.
I mean, so normally the way I do things is I overplan and try and think through every possibility and then finally launch something. And then this time with Random Quest, I was like, all right, you know what? I've been trying to figure out, how to do an event like this for a while. I'm just going to do it. Let's just start it today and see what happens. And it didn't go past the first round because there were just too many bumps. It was difficult. It's difficult to curate stuff in this way, and the parameters weren't that clear, etc. So I spent the next few months thinking about. Basically, it just came down to, you know what, non-interactive media. That would be a really great place to start, and it would make creating an event like this a lot easier.
Was this I just want to remind you, was this when you had everyone make a scene, and the scene could be a video or it could be a game, and you gave people points based off what happened?
I think we were talking about points. I don't even remember if we had points going. Basically, it was like the Dream Walk, but needlessly more complicated.
Yeah, so I am thinking the same one because I remember my Burger Barn ads in there.
And I mean, I'm still interested in doing something like that. Like I really like creating worlds in Dreams. I like creating unique spaces that you could walk around in, and I'm still enthused about an idea like that. But Dreamflix was so much fun last year, and I feel like there's a lot of potential to make it better for a round 2. So yeah. So other events are on the back burner. I'm living in Dreamflix world again for a little while. Alpha, did you?
As far as favorite creations go, admittedly, the main one that sticks out in my mind is in fact Hognautica's speedrun. That one still sticks out in my mind whenever I think of Dreamflix.
That was just a great concept, and well executed.
And it was just also just joke after joke, like so many little references throughout the whole thing. It was very dense with.
It sounded like a real speedrun, and that's the best part about it.
It really did, yeah.
Yeah.
It made me want a part 2. I wanted to see the next episode. I'm like, gimme.
Especially if you played Subnautica. You know what I really liked? I actually saw a little bit of it today before the stream, and I really liked the bit where you're like, oh, we got to hurry up through this part before the scenery loads in. We can sneak around. Like, oh, that is so Subnautica.
Yeah, it really is. You're like, well, there's nothing this way. It's all blue squares. Oh, wait a second. There's a spire.
Subnautica's like an interesting game because it looks like a PS5 game sometimes, and then sometimes it looks like a PS2 game. It just depends on what area you're in, because there's completely flat areas with repeating textures, and just I went too far.
Yeah. I lost 45 minutes of progress because the scenery loaded on top of me one day. That was really fun.
I've had some glitches, like my entire save file just got laggy and I couldn't really.
My big submarine ended up under the lava castle area. Actually, it was under the cove tree, if you know what I'm talking about. And that was actually kind of cool because then I was pretty safe down there. Nothing was attacking me.
Yeah, I set up a base down there too. That was a nice little pocket.
Yeah. Then I don't know if I was able to figure out how to swim back through. I think I did. I did manage to back through or something.
It was stressful.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not scared of underwater stuff, but just going deeper and deeper and deeper and through all these twisting caves and exploring and blah blah. But enough Subnautica.
The sequel's good though. I do recommend it. You spend more time on land, but both of them are scary because there's things attacking you on land and it's so desolate and everything's twisty. There's no straight places. Everything around and you end up like back where you started.
Yeah, I had some fun with that one too. I didn't quite finish it, but I did enjoy the time I spent playing it. Let me go to Duckonomics in the top right. Duckonomics, what's your feel about season 1?
Nope.
Oh, season 1. It was good.
Nope.
I didn't have a lot of Flix submissions, but I did make a lot of assets. I made one animation sort of towards the end, and I kind of, my mentality with creating is go big, and that's just kind of how I do things, for better or worse. But I really enjoyed making the assets. That's a lot of fun. That's something that I do with the Kataya asset jams a lot.
Yeah.
I like to participate in those. I like to just, I'll find any excuse to open up dreams and put something together if it pops into my head.
And I will say, Duckonomics, and I didn't mean, sorry to interrupt you. I think that you had a really good, some really good ideas. I noticed that in your scene for your, what is it, for your animation, that you had a lot more planned than what you showed, and I could tell that you had a lot of work in there. Something like a time travel plot, I think. What I was getting.
There was I even made another character that didn't get seen, but yeah, you can actually, it's remixable. You can go in there and snoop around.
It's unfortunate. I wanted to build off of your plot, and I'm sorry I hijacked your character in that way. But the only reason I didn't do time travel is because that would have complicated an already complicated story. So I was like, what can I do
that's for
besides
season
time travel?
2, right? Time travel was introduced in the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
That'll loop us. It'll make it a prequel and a sequel.
Episode 8 of season 2, we combine all the assets from season 1 and season 2.
Are there 8 episodes in a season?
That's something I want to get into. When will those season 1 episodes or assets come back? Like, will we bring them all back in for the end of season 2, or do we want to be more permissive?
I wrote something down in a Google Doc. It was kind of an idea.
You know what? While you're pulling that up, I just wanted to read Twitcher, the Game Cat, in the chat. Said, personally speaking, I loved the opportunity to make assets, as crazy, weird, or just plain stupid as we like, and see the creative ways they were used by different people. I even made a laser toothpick, don't ask me why, and people used it in several completely different ways. Yeah, I found it very enjoyable to make assets for a jam like this and then just see what people did with them the very next week. I really enjoyed that myself.
I will say, and this is something that might be too early to get into this, but I would like to see, and I don't know if this is just me personally, but I would like to see a few more perhaps serious films being made in the Dreamflix. And I don't know if other people agree with me, but I think it's easier to go from like a serious prompt that people can use. Like, people can make it silly. Like, making a serious prompt silly is easy, but making a silly prompt serious is a lot harder.
I'm pretty sure every film I made was serious.
Yours were, yeah.
No, wait, no,
probably had
there was one.
Some of the most straight-faced, serious.
The diner
shorts.
one was the only silly one I made. Every single other one was completely serious.
Pig-itis was serious for the first 30 seconds.
Well, Pig-itis is as serious as it gets.
Yeah.
It has politics.
Yeah, when are we getting that vaccine for Pig-itis, by the way? I'm ready. Come and jab me.
I try to play the diner like it's serious, but it's like with ridiculous characters and like they have puns and stuff. They're like, "Oh, Mr. Potts, you're calling Mr. Kettle black-hearted," very serious.
Duckonomics, what was your prepared statement?
Okay, so for the finale of this is kind of looking ahead, and I don't know how this could fit in maybe at the end, but for a Dreamflix special event, have one main writer who creates a central story and then breaks it down into scenes, and then each person who makes a who wants to make an animation gets a different scene, and so they can make the scene. They can basically do whatever they want with the scene. But I haven't really totally figured out the. There's a lot of stuff to
I
figure out
immediately
here.
love that idea.
Yeah.
I immediately love it.
So
That's
one
good.
person is writing multiple scenes, and then different people are, it's
One person writes the whole story, and then they basically are the director, and they divide that into a bunch of scenes for individual people to work on.
I really do like the idea of
I would
seeing,
love that.
yeah, seeing different people's style telling the same story. I think that is a
And
really
that
interesting
was
idea.
that was kind of inspired by Avox's thing that sort of tied together the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like having a big finale, it seems appropriate.
One idea I had that was kind of in a similar vein was having sort of almost an exquisite corpse sort of event where like one person does a scene and then the next person does a scene that follows it and another person that does a scene that follows it. The problem with that is like
Sure.
it's a long-term thing because each person has to finish a scene before someone can move
Right.
on to the next one. But I also had an idea just as a potential Dreamflix format. Another one was to have a starting scene. Like, here's scene one, and it's really short. Like it's a 10-second scene or something. And then the objective is to create a scene that follows it. And so you would see like this 10-second setup by one person, and then you might see 10 different takes on where the story goes after that 10-second setup. Again, an interesting idea, but definitely very, very outside the format that we've been.
That's
It would
actually
be better with
honestly,
an ending.
yeah, that's actually what I was thinking about. Is saying we should, instead of like having a theme where we like pick a theme, we would pick a beginning and then pick an end, and then have everyone try to make the inside.
Put the meat in the sandwich.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's an
we
interesting
give
idea.
them the bread and they make the peanut butter and jelly.
Or like kind of Pulp Fiction format where there's like sort of a bunch of different storylines and like
Yeah.
someone's always like the background of the one. So then like if you know like generally like who's kind of assigned to what, then you make sure that like at the end of your scene, like if you know the next one's gonna be like, people in a diner, then like you'd have your scene end up outside the diner or something,
Well, there's
But that's again where you want to then see at some point someone's going to have to see everything and edit it so that it flows together again. Zoom
there's
into
a
the
reason
diner,
why
zooms out.
only Tarantino can do that sort of thing. But yeah,
Does require one person to be doing that.
I guess
Yeah.
it kind of comes down to how do we want Dreamflix to be more like a compilation of individual short films, or do we want to create like a more cohesive story, like Duckonomics was saying?
You know what?
I feel like-
One thing I don't want to lose is the flexibility.
Yeah.
Like some of these more curated ideas, I would consider doing something that really breaks the format for either a one-off episode, like, hey, this is a special event, like, or even like we're gonna do VR films and it's a one-off, like special episode thing.
movie films I can think of.
But what I don't want to lose is the flexibility of, hey, I can jump in and make an asset, or I can not. I can jump in and make a film this week. If I don't finish it, if I decide not to do whatever, no one was counting on me. It's not an assignment, and there's not. There's not one finished product that has to happen, like relying on all these people.
I like the idea of having both, not just stick with one format. Have free form and also be able to, have a cohesive story. I really, was hoping we would be able to do it for finale last year, but that's kind of hard to pull off.
Well, let me move to. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. If you're still going,
That's okay.
let me shift it over to to the format, just the regular format of an episode. Last season, we had a week of making assets, a week of making films, and then we would vote, and we're done. So, I mean, an episode was like 2 weeks, basically, to create it all. And I did get feedback from a handful of people that that they'd like more time to create films, more time than a week. And I'm definitely hearing in the chat today that that some people want to see, you know, some things that are more serious, that are more produced, or and I feel that a week is a really short time frame. Like a week is a very short amount of time to put a short film together. How much time would people want? Like, if you could have as much time as you want to create a film for an episode of Dreamflix, like what would feel good to you?
Didn't I feel like I suggested, I don't know if we did this or not at one point last season, but like if we spend both weeks making assets and films at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait, like, do you mean making assets for the current 2 weeks or assets for the next 2 weeks while using the assets from the previous weeks?
Was for the current 2 weeks was the idea, because, but I mean, now that I think about it, that's probably better, because that's how the jams are kind of done, right? Because it's 2 weeks and then 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But then you run into the issue of, what if you want to use an asset that was made for next week's, but you really want to use it for this week's? Then are you restricted to not use it, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were doing it like the jams, you know, it's this 2 weeks. You can either make an asset for episode 2, or you can create a film for episode 1. Right? That would be the thing.
Well, I guess I kind of have a question, which is, how many people make assets and films? Is there like a camp of people who make assets and a camp of people who make films? Or maybe do people like pick one each go around?
My impression is most people were either asset makers or filmmakers. There are definitely people who did both, but I think more people were either interested in just making assets or just making films.
And I don't think a lot of people, like, I think people might be a filmmaker or an asset maker, and they might switch 1 week. Like me, I kind of switched on one of the weeks.
Yeah.
Some people are both, and they only have time for one that week.
Yeah.
Yep.
It would depend how busy. Like if a light week in my life came at the same time as an asset as, you know, a film week, then I could do it. And if I was busy and it was the same as a film week, no way I could do it.
Yeah.
You're kind of cutting out, Zoe.
And asset takes a lot less time to make than a film, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like definitely 2 weeks would be enough. Because again, going back to Pigitis, I finished the film in almost exactly a week. If I'd had 1 extra week, I could tweaked it, made the animation smoother, other stuff like that. So I feel like 2 weeks is a good area for it.
Is anyone sitting here thinking I would want more than 2 weeks?
No, 2 weeks is good.
2 weeks is a lot of time.
I think 2 weeks is is plenty for like 5-minute videos.
Maybe if we like
that.
If we like encourage people to like, you know, like if it's happening simultaneously, but we're encouraging the asset makers, like, try to get your stuff done in that first week, you know, but the stuff can trickle in. And then for the filmmaking, it's like you can start during the first week, but you might want to wait, you know, so you have more assets to work with. Because a lot of the filming stuff, I mean, it's coming with the ideas, writing a script. Like, you can have cubes moving around and then replace them with assets later. So.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I definitely love the idea. Oh,
go ahead.
I definitely love the idea of being able to work on assets and films for the 2 weeks, but I also like the idea of having it be you work on the film. You start on the assets on the first week, but you can also work on the film as well if you don't need to wait for the assets.
Yeah.
Because I could have made my stuff even more polished and stuff if I was able to start working on that first week. Because for a lot of stuff I made, I didn't have to
I'll be right back. Sorry.
No problem.
On the first week, I didn't like. I was mainly waiting because I could have already started. But if I
Yeah.
didn't have to start, I could have made it even better, and I probably would have been able to do some of the ones that I wasn't able to do.
Yeah, Duckonomics expressed the same thing, and the let's see, the biggest bump that I see there is so currently the way we did it last season, I would release the scene with all the assets that people made for that episode, and you would have to remix the scene, right? And it's mostly so that mostly just to ensure that you don't have work from 6 months ago in there. Like we want it to be, new work made for Dreamflix. I suppose I could release, like say we did, a 2-week cycle where for these 2 weeks you're making an asset for next episode or a film for the current episode. And I guess I could just release the remixable scene with nothing in it at the very start, and then I could add assets into it at the end of the 2 weeks, and that way you could remix the starting scene. It also organizes things and makes it so I know where all the submissions are, and I don't have to have people sharing things to me and things all over the place. Like that's another reason that people remixing all the same scene is extremely helpful to me in curating the event. I don't know. I'm kind of warm to the idea of each 2-week cycle being next episode's assets and this episode's films. How Duckonomics, like, how would you feel about that setup?
Well, I guess the first week would be just assets for the first 2 weeks, right? So that because there's no assets to make a film with.
But I suppose I would also. So let's say week 1, episode 1 of Dreamflix, we just started. I think with this plan, I would be releasing the starting element to make assets with, and releasing the starting scene to make films with at the same time. So if you really wanted, and I guess that would mean that if you really wanted to, you could spend 4 weeks total on the film. You just wouldn't have all the assets until 2 weeks in. I mean, it would give an overlap to where. Does this even make sense? I know this is like this gets very confusing.
It's getting a little confusing.
It really. I mean, I understand that. I think Twitcher said y'all seem intent on making this really complicated. And one of the things I really want to do better on in season 2 is not necessarily less complicated, but easier to understand. I think. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think just keeping it in the 2-week period where the 2 weeks we can make the film, and in those 2 weeks we can make the assets for that episode.
Mm-hmm.
And just keeping like each episode being a 2-week thing, and not like making episodes for the next 2 weeks or what. Just keeping it simple would probably be best.
I think I agree with Insane Alpha Beta. I think that the 2 weeks should include the asset creation, but also the filmmaking, so that way you kind of do have 2 weeks to make a film. So, but you're like you said, the assets wouldn't necessarily be all the way completed. But I would say, like, why cap the asset creation off at 1 week? Why not just have asset creation and movie creation just throughout 2 weeks? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I like the flexibility of that. Sounds nice, and it presents more simply than what I was just laying out. I think the unappealing thing is
for beginner animators who don't know how to do blockouts and all that.
Right. I mean, like someone. So if it's asset creation and filmmaking for the same episode for 2 weeks, then someone who makes an asset, like basically, there's less and less incentive to make an asset as time goes on. Someone makes an asset on day 13. You could almost be guaranteed no one is going to use that in a film. Like it's just going to sit there.
What if we announce what you actually do with the film at the end of that 14 days? So at the beginning of the 14 days, we say, this is it's going to be sci-fi and there's going to be cowboys. And then after 2 weeks, we say, but you have to make it a documentary. And then because you can't start the film until you know what kind of film you're going to be making.
That's interesting. That's an interesting idea. I like that.
And it is more complex, like what the chat was saying.
But doesn't that take away the part where you would before that be able to start working on the first week? But if you have to wait until those 14 days, you can't start
You have
making
to
it.
wait. Yeah, you would have to
Yeah.
wait. You can't really start until after the assets.
So
which I
you
think is
wouldn't
what
be
he's
able
Then
to
it would
start making
be
it.
yeah. So it'll be the 2 week thing again.
Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want 2 weeks just for asset creation, personally.
So
I see Dreams Engineer in the chat is saying maybe 3 weeks is 1 week of assets, 2 weeks of film creation.
I mean, that could work.
That could be a simple way to do it.
I mean,
The
2
only
weeks.
the only thing there is how much time are we talking about? Because 3 weeks is a long time.
We could also add like shortcuts to animation, like templates to make animation quicker and everything. But I don't know how it will work. Just an idea.
Also, we could combine it with Taya's jams, where like that gives us even more assets. Except I do like the idea of creating assets specifically for DreamFlix.
Yeah,
it could be like
I really do like that too. I like that. I like that there's a weird little universe. Yeah, that now has its own stories and characters, and I don't want to lose that. I think that's something that feels really special about DreamFlix last year. I don't know. A 3-week cycle is interesting. I think what you're saying about 2 weeks being a long time for asset creation, it really is. It gets done in 1 week, and it feels like an appropriate amount of time. So if we did a 3-week cycle, let's see. I mean, if I did 7 episodes again for the season, that's what, 21 weeks? It's not that bad. That's not too bad.
Would take a year to finish, but I guess it could work.
I mean, 21 weeks. I mean, that's what, 5 months or so.
And I'm sorry. I'm stupid. I'm sorry.
That might make it easier too for you for like getting stuff on YouTube. Like if you have a week, if it's just once each month, it'd be like the first week of the month is assets, the middle 2 weeks are like the videos, and like that final month is just like, you're playing it on your stream, it's going up on YouTube. Like
then we could have more to complain about you if you don't do it.
It could be like a monthly cycle.
Yeah, no, I find that to be an attractive idea.
So, if we were to do the thing where first week is assets, 2 weeks of film, so you still wouldn't be able to start the film immediately. Would you still be able to start the film on that first week if you didn't need the assets, or would you?
I'd say we should be allowed to do like storyboarding and script writing during that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I definitely wouldn't want to permit or prevent anyone from doing like pre-production stuff or anything like that.
I kind of like the idea of it being just mostly asset creation. Like, don't release all the prompt information. I really like that idea. Because you could say, I mean, you only have to release the information relevant for the assets, like sci-fi and cowboys, like Dickonomics was saying. And after that period, then you say, you give something additional that has to do with the actual film.
Maybe. So I liked Dickonomics' idea about that also, about having prompts so that we can create assets, but then having one more detail that's there to inform the films.
What if like every day there was a new like thing added onto the prompt? You had to like go back and retroactively change your prompt.
I'm against having too many restrictions. I think that the fewer restrictions we have, the better. But I think there should be interesting restrictions. So when you look at prompts for like writing and stuff, they're usually like, I don't want the prompt to just be like one word like cowboy. I would rather the prompt be something like
engineering.
I can't think of what I'm saying. No, like it has to take place in one room, or it has to be exactly 3 characters, or something kind of like that.
Yeah. I think it's tricky finding like the right limitations. Like I want enough limitations to create a shape to the thing, so that there's a theme, at least a thematic through line somehow. But I don't I feel like a lot of the themes last year. I think the themes sometimes were a deal breaker for people. Like if you show up and you're like, oh, horror, and it's just really not your thing, but I was going to make a film this week, but I'm not. Or I think wildlife documentary was also one that I think kind of scared people off. Like it maybe as putting a genre on it might have been a little too restrictive.
Kind of goes back to how it kind of transitioned to where the prompts were really prompts, they were just suggestions, and as long as you had like one of the three things, you were good to go.
Well, how do people feel
So
about
still-
that? Like,
Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought that they were all like hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all
That's what I thought at
suggestions.
first too. Yeah, like in the
yeah.
first several episodes, or not several, because that's all of them. In the first few episodes, it definitely seemed like the prompts were like it had to be on Mars, it had to be Martians, it had to be a silent film, and it couldn't be anything. It couldn't just be one of those things. It felt like it had to be all of them.
I mean, I never laid
And
out.
I think I liked it when it was more like it could have just been a silent film, or it could have just been on Mars. It could have just been rock creatures.
I never laid out rules, but we did talk about it on stream a few times, and my view was I wanted themes to create shape, or so the suggestions to create shape and theme, but I didn't. I just wanted to see personally the people were use them as inspiration in some way,
Right.
rather than like you must meet all of these, all of these things.
That's why I also really like the beginning and end idea, because what's ever in the middle, you can do whatever you want, as long as it has that beginning and that end. And it's easy to tie yourself into that end, and it's easy to branch off from that beginning.
Yeah,
I feel like
How would that
that
work?
has.
Can you elaborate what you mean by
So what
that
we
beginning
mean,
end?
like instead of a prompt, we would have a beginning scenario, and we would have an end scenario, and for
You
that,
mean like written or like animated, or like you're just saying like text? Like
I would say it written. I wouldn't want to make an animation, because what if someone animation style is different from the animation style of the
yeah.
thing,
Okay.
and then they basically just put whatever they want, as long as it ends. They don't even have to end it with that way, but again, that could be the form of the suggestion. So it doesn't scare people off too much. Like if they just need something to end their story with, they can try to use the suggested end, or something they need to branch their story off from. They can use the suggested start.
I think those are interesting ideas. I think anything that involves, I really like the idea of there being something existing that you're attaching another piece onto in some way. I think it might not flow in a regular season of Dreamflix, like in the normal episodes. I think I'd rather not have that restriction for people, because it is like, it's a cool prompt having like, a starting scene, but it also is a restriction, like, now I'm telling a story with these characters in this location or whatever.
Right.
So I think it's fun, and I think there's a really, like, it feels like improv, like bringing those sort of ideas in. Like, I love the idea of one person putting something down, and another person, seeing another person's riffing on it. But I think for
It's like
a normal
something good
episode,
for a one-off.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think for a normal episode, I want people to feel less restricted. I want there to be, I mean, I think by nature, since we're creating assets around a theme. All right, I think when let me say this. I think I said this a few times in season 1, and I think the reactions I feel like I got every time were not positive. But to me, the themes, the suggestions really mattered for making assets. And that accomplished like what I wanted. Like it gave us all, this common pool of characters and setting and things to work with. And I honestly didn't care that much about whether people followed the suggestions when they made a short or not. And so I don't know. I really want to find a sweet spot where it feels flexible, but again, there's enough there to give it a backbone of some sort to, to make things feel connected.
It could be all that you might have not have cared because no one ever differed from it either. Every single season followed all the prompts, so there wasn't really a scenario where there was an episode that didn't really follow the prompts.
Yeah. Can you give me an example of something that you might have made? Yeah. If you didn't have to follow the prompts, or do you think? I mean, is there anyone here who thinks they would have created more? Or created a film when they didn't?
I would have probably created more if I felt like I could make a story about just humans. And I know how that sounds is like, to me, when some people it doesn't really make a big difference, but when you're dealing with animated characters, like inherently you go into thinking, well, I have to make it, a certain way or like silly or something.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I was able to use more human characters, I could make some, inject more relatable drama, I guess. And that might just be a restriction on my part, where I'm not imaginative enough to create drama between pigs underwater, But, and some people can. I'm sure some people can make some really great dramatic videos, and of course, they did make some really good videos. But I just think limiting the character type, I wasn't a big fan of. Like if we have to deal, with pigs or with rocks. But that could just be me personally.
It's just hitting me the absurdity of like we have like character type as part of suggestions, but it's never human. It's never humans.
Yeah.
We did rocks, we did pigs, we did never.
Even
never
when
humans.
we chose like space pirates, it was like cat space pirates.
Yeah.
We did inanimate objects as characters. I really loved that week.
That was good.
But
that actually turned out really funny. But
I really liked making like the salt and pepper character. And I gave them like little drawn animations so people could do what they wanted. Like,
how would people?
It definitely felt more freeing when it became clear that they were mainly suggestions and not like you had to include all three, and I could just focus on one of the three prompts we had and make something based on that, as long as it was just one of them. That definitely felt way more flexible and freeing. Like,
I think this is kind of an idea Duckonomics had when we were discussing this on stream last year, combined kind of with what Duckonomics was saying earlier. How would people feel about, let's just say, just for sake of discussion, we did the suggestions the exact same way. Forget the I want to get back into talking about humans and the assets some more. But let's say we did the suggestions the same way. And then when it came time to make films, we had a prompt. And so the suggestions might be like, get us a setting, a location, might get us some specific props. Maybe it gets us characters. It's got to get us characters somehow, but so that it all ties together with the assets. But then when it comes time to make the films, it's something like, thinking outside the box. That sounds really cliche and boring, but like the theme is something more like that, more general, more like.
That might be good.
It's a vague
love
prompt that lets you take it in different directions.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the asset makers and the filmmakers have different needs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what another fun gimmick could be? Take like just like for one of the times, we take like a public domain film and we chop it up into bits. But that takes a lot more work actually, because then like you really like if someone is like, oh, actually it was sweet, then like that scene is just kind of missing.
Zelly Beans, you just, I think you just invented a whole jam right there.
Yeah, it's like a whole separate thing.
I want to see
They did that for Star Wars. They did a fan-made Star Wars thing.
Really?
And yeah, and it would be great because like they get everyone like you had to sign up on some website. They'd assign you like a 30-second clip.
Yeah.
So there were people who would do theirs with Legos. There was someone they did the whole thing on Hoth where Luke was like dragged away by a monster. They had their dog do it. So like it's this like fluffy white dog like dragging away like a little toy Luke Skywalker or whatever.
I think seeing the Dreams version of this would be amazing.
There's a couple things because there's also the reanimated thing on YouTube. Like there's a music video like psychiatrist, this like really wild music video, and they had like 20 different like big YouTube like animators like take chunks of it and redo it, and that was really cool too. And they call that reanimated. I think
Yeah,
that's the thing.
reanimateds are great because recently I've been enjoying this one. It helps you learn about films that you may not even know about, and it shows a lot for a lot of artists. I recently been enjoying this one called Joshua and the Promised Land Reanimated. It is so good. You guys definitely check it out. But to see a dreams version of that would be really good. But
I guess
again, you
maybe we
have to
should.
find a.
Sorry, I
Go
didn't mean to
Like,
cut you off. I
no,
get
say
giving me an
what
excited.
you
idea.
saying.
I'm just saying we should be doing that. Maybe we should animated things, and when they're taking like submissions, be like, "I've got a scene," and then we just make our scene dreams and set the little watermark, and people are like,
But
"Ooh, dreams! What's
the
that?"
hard part would be doing it for dreams. Would be obviously you would have to make sure all the scenes load properly and don't look weird, and then we have to find a public domain movie or short film.
That is probably the biggest like bummer of it is trying to think how many public domain movies can I name? Zero.
We got
I
Am I
Killer
still
Bean.
frozen?
It-
I think
oh,
Doug, your face is
is
frozen.
Casablanca public domain yet? When it's on?
Sorry.
I think you were talking about. That's not me. That's Duck.
Duckonomics camera image on the stream is frozen in a humorous.
Oh yeah,
was about
like
to say.
geez, I didn't know this was so shocking. Big mind blown.
But
idea.
you know, actually, that
need
gives
that
me
as
an
an
idea.
emote.
What Zelly was saying, and what they were talking about. I think it would be cool to, and I don't know. This is completely up to you, Kel, obviously. But if you wanted to take some time during your stream to like showcase, and as like part of Dreamflix, but not really, is like showcase a video about filmmaking, or like or a case
Yeah.
study on a particular like video. Like Sounds Like Trouble. He mentioned Charlie Chaplin films and how they would show clips of it. But if you just wanted to do like a little video, it could kind of inspire people. Because I know that would inspire me. I like to look at those kinds of videos and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Trouble used to do like a study hall where you would talk about like video game design on stream.
that?
And I think something like that, but for filmmaking, would be kind of cool. Like maybe a video about blocking,
Yeah.
for example, because blocking is a very important concept in filmmaking, and I think it's not understood by beginners that much.
You know, I would enjoy that kind of content as well, and I think that would be a neat thing to provide in conjunction with Dreamflix. In addition to
Or even
to
just
what
a
you
link.
said.
I mean, if you just wanted to give it
Yeah,
as an
yeah.
extra resource at the very least.
No, that's a good point. I'd love to get some discussions like that going and start sharing resources. I would also love to provide some support just on filmmaking and dreams, because man, before you really have a good understanding of timelines and cameras and stuff, like just those baby steps you have to take to get started can be really daunting, and there are pitfalls, that you can fall into that that are really difficult. Just figuring out like the weird way a camera might behave when it's not on a timeline, or if I had more time and resources, I mean, I would love to put out just a series of videos just to help people get started on the filmmaking process. Maybe one thing I can do to help with that is dedicate some time. I think once Dreamflix starts, I'll probably be doing the podcast, and then we'll do Dreamflix after the podcast. And maybe I can take a part of that time to just make it known, like, hey, I'm here for support. If you're having an issue, if you need help with a film, if I'm here for you. So that's something I'm thinking about too.
In regards to finding source material for doing the reanimated idea, we can always try to pull something that's from Dreams.
Oh,
Ooh,
that's an interesting
Like the
point.
B movie.
Gucci's Bell.
Getting the Gucci's
ooh,
Bell
like
reanimated.
reanimated the snowball.
Something like that, yeah.
But you have to use
Animated what?
Dreamflix assets, so it's like, it's like Gunter and
Right.
Gucci's
Yeah, we have,
Bell,
like,
Dreamflix edition.
We have like 5 different versions of Green Guy.
I feel like I would like to watch that more than I would like to participate in it, just because to me the interesting part of the animated filmmaking is not the animation. To me, it's the story. If I'm working on someone else's story, I'm not as invested in it. Um, Whereas I know some people just have fun doing the actual animation. I would love to see what people come up with as reanimations, but I think reanimation is not something I'm particularly interested
Yeah, I agree. Because, like I said, I was more the story person, not really the quality of animation person.
Yeah,
What if
But
it
I
was a
would love to see it.
Sorry. What if it was a
Well,
reanimated of a past Dreamflix episode?
in. It would be funny to see.
oh,
I would like to see
reanimated.
Pigitis the Gritty reboot.
the dark version.
The one where the fight actually happens at the end.
A rated R version.
Or you could just maybe take the beginning of another, animated short and just totally change the ending.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
Make it
we
like
could,
Saving Private Ryan, but with pigs.
and we don't even have to limit ourselves to Dreamflix. We can also see about any animations in the 60-minute challenge. Like, what was the one with Kel being attacked by scorpions?
What?
I don't even...
That was a 60-minute challenge. It was
was
the
that
same.
that's
was that
me.
Ice Cream Gamer? Oh, no, that was you.
I can't remember. I know it's the same week
There were a
I
couple.
made
There
the
was one where it was
game.
getting bananas.
Yes, that was the week with
Yeah.
the bananas, the scorpion. I made the game with the owl.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I do not recall that one at all.
I know which one he's talking about.
I really like these ideas, like the reanimating idea. I think is really great. I don't think they fit into a season of Dreamflix. I think, I think there are some really interesting limitations in doing a project like that. I want to get back to assets, and I want to get back to talking about human characters, because so here's one thought I had, Avox, about human characters. So you said, I'd like to make stories about humans. What a silly head. Human puppets are kind of like, once we've got them, right? I mean, it's almost like, I almost feel like, oh, so shouldn't someone just make some good human puppets for Dreamflix, and then they're just in the set. Now, in order for that to pan out, I think we would need to open it up so that you could use any Dreamflix asset for any Dreamflix film. What do people think about that idea? I mean,
I always liked the idea of being able to use like all the assets from the previous Dreamflix season if we wanted, so that those assets don't just get like used them once and now we're never going to use them again. That just doesn't feel right. But if we were able to use them, if we had a reason to use them or just wanted to, I
You can
like
always
that
use them
idea a lot.
outside Dreamflix.
Yeah,
would
that's
personally
true.
say I wouldn't.
Like,
I wouldn't
in
want that. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
That's all good. Go ahead.
I would say I wouldn't want it where you can do it for every single episode. I would say I would more so want it for like certain episodes, maybe like episode 1 of season 2. We can use episode 1 of season 1 assets. I wouldn't want to say you can use any assets from any short.
Yeah, last season we did episode 7. You could use the whole season worth of assets because it was the season finale. I mean, I think the idea is interesting to say either, hey, season 2, episode 1 starts. You can use anything from season 2 all through season 2, and then for the season finale of season 2, we let you bring back season 1 puppets or season 1 assets.
I think I
that's
agree with
interesting,
that.
too. You like that
Because I
better?
think one thing to consider is about that is with the launch of season 2, make new assets for the episode. Let's say make new episodes for episode 1 of season 2. Going into episode 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 of season 2, it would be kind of nice to be able to use the assets from the previous episodes.
Yeah.
Because that could lend to us kind of an air of continuity between all the episodes in that season. And so for example, let's say somebody for episode 1 makes Sylvester the Raccoon, right? Let's say you use Sylvester the Raccoon in your episode 1, you could make that a recurring character, but whether or not he's the main character, he could be a recurring character in your episode 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if you wanted him to be.
The only thing I'm worried about doing that is I feel like they'll make people less likely to try to make assets. It would like incentivize less asset use as the weeks go on. Because
The argument
you
for
already
that?
got because you already
And-
got 100 assets. Why do I need to
I
make
think
more?
I think film you would be surprised because I think filmmakers like we would want to make something new, you know. Like if our previous film was set in one location, maybe we want a completely different location, and that's going to come with its own characters.
My counter argument is the fact that there are prompts, and that prompts are the reason to make those assets.
Yeah.
We were just saying like how the prompts are suggestions. So
Well, how
I mean, there's a difference between the prompts for the creation of assets and the actual prompt of making a film. The assets are more focused, but then you have the film, which is more vague.
We're open.
Or open.
I also feel like because there's a lot of people who just like to make the assets, they don't want the commitment to making
Right.
a film. I feel like we wouldn't see any less interest if the prompts are interesting. Like if we give the asset creators interesting prompts to start with, prompts that inspire them, then I don't think we'd see a reduction in assets. And I really do like the idea, now that you said it, of of a character being able to carry through the whole season. I think that, because like say for season 1, each episode has its own sort of, thematic continuity, but there's really no continuity between episodes 1 through 6. Like there's, everyone is just a whole
There is
new
if you
bag
watch.
of crazies.
There is if you watch the timeline.
Well, yes, not until you get to 7. You just don't understand.
To be
how they're
fair, the
connected.
only reason there wasn't much continuity, I probably would have had more continuity if I was able to use some of my previous film's characters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or if we could do like a casting.
If
A casting.
I would love to
Yeah,
see like
so
a
like
growing
we got all these
cast of
characters made, and then we decide like what they are. I don't know, because it was kind of fun though, like having like one character like a villain in one thing, and like this totally super antagonist in another. But like
I would like
it would be kind of
that.
the only problem with that is like how would we, like the voicing would be different though, and like really have to get a lot of coordination, and that would be like really annoying as a voice actor. Be like, okay, you're the like rock monster all season. So every time someone makes a scene with rock monster, they
Yeah.
yeah.
I
I definitely though would have some continuity continue through into season 2 if I could have like the rock character I use for, I don't even remember what the name of my own film was. If I could use that same character again to carry over into season 2 for continuity and stuff, I'd so do that if I could.
Yeah. I feel like I like the idea of not allowing season 1 assets until the season 2 finale. Like the season finale always being just game on. Lena.
I would like to start fresh with season personally.
Yeah. I mean, but then I like the idea of it being a circus for the season finale. Like every asset that's ever been created for Dreamflix, you can use. Lena.
I suppose as my own counter argument to myself, if you wanted to use a character from the previous season, you could just make a new version of that character or those assets.
yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
They could be, it's like their next gen version of those season 1 characters. If you really like, if I wanted to bring that rock
Just love
character
the
back, I
character,
could just
yeah.
make a next gen version of him.
Yeah.
If I really wanted to.
I mean, if you want it bad enough.
that works.
Make the rock,
It's
give him
there.
pig ears 1 week. He's an inanimate object, so that would.
Let's
Chase
trying
rock
to destroy everything.
Lena is causing mayhem.
Sorry, bad kitty.
Oh, I'm missing it. I'm getting ready for work, but I'm on blue.
I'm herding cat. It's like herding cats, but fewer.
How about if we allow remixing assets from the previous episode?
So like
The
for
only issue with that
so
is
if you
people.
want to, you're saying like if you want to create an asset for episode 2, you would be allowed to remix an episode 1 asset if you want. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
I don't know. Thoughts, anyone?
Yeah. I mean, that kind of goes with being able to use the previous episode's assets in the new episode.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
The
Like,
only downside is
And
like,
that kind of
means-
fits in the same bubble.
It means if you got involved though, like you'd have this kind of like preeminence. So people might feel like, oh well, I missed the few weeks of asset creation, and now everyone's using all these other assets. Like, no way will I make anything that's able to like dislodge that, you know?
Oh, like the
I mean,
like
people
certain
could
ones
use
become
whatever asset
popular
you-
over time. Like
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Kind of like that.
But then again, it would also feel really good if you the asset
yeah,
Right.
popular, you know?
I mean, as episodes go on, your character would eventually get used, I would have to imagine, with all the different people making films.
Yeah, that's something too. So maybe it would be better to like, could be like, hey,
Should
you know, I felt bad. You know what?
I
Dinosaur.
made.
We're hearing you
That's a
drop
good
out
point.
a lot, Zelly.
Could
Maybe
be.
Oh,
But
sorry.
I
Here,
hear
let
what
me just
Zelly's
get
saying
off
is
the
like
Bluetooth. The battery's
if
probably low.
someone
I heard what she said
makes
too.
an asset, if someone makes an asset for episode 1 and it doesn't get used, then it could still be used in a future episode.
yeah. That's a good point.
This might be unrelated to like what we're talking about now, but I have no idea if it will fit. But I've had this dumb idea for Dreamflix.
Ooh, do tell.
It's like a main protagonist to all episodes that carries out to all episodes from the season, like a traveler exploring all these episodes. I don't know. I
It's
don't
an
know.
interesting
So,
concept.
kinda
I think
like,
It
the
wouldn't really work.
the voice
Yeah, it wouldn't
acting
really
is,
work.
like they mentioned before, is the only reason that I would say I'd be hesitant.
Right.
Because unless he's a silent protagonist, I mean, we could make him like a Wall-E kind of robot that never talks. But other than that, I don't see how you could make it work.
I
The
think
problem with that is
Actually-
like, what if in someone's thing he dies there? That could mess with the continuity a little bit.
You have to make a
I
rule.
actu-
No, you can't kill him unless he
He
comes
dies in
back
this
the
timeline.
Same episode.
I mean,
I actually have
honestly, I think.
Oh,
Sorry. Go ahead, Road Kirby.
Oh no, you first. You first.
I think an idea like this would be something perfect for people to just coordinate on their own within Dreamflix, right? So instead of
Right.
like, I mean, if it was an official part of it, then we've got another limitation
Yeah.
where we might not, a lot of people might not want
Yeah.
to write about this character
That's a
or
really
to,
good point.
to coordinate. But if you or anyone wanted to plot that on your own or as a collaboration with other people like that, that's totally doable within the within the format that we have. I think that would be cool. And especially if we allowed assets to be used, if you make a character in episode 1
Plus
and you can use it
episodes.
in further episodes, like that kind of opens the door to that sort of thing.
I actually have a
Also, one
similar.
potential. What?
I actually have a similar idea. Instead of character, actually use a object like a book of magic.
Could it be something
Oh,
simple
that gives me an
like a
idea.
phone?
A MacGuffin,
It's like
like the Infinity Stones. I don't know.
One potential problem of the main character, like if that was to be a part of Dreamflix that stays with Dreamflix, there's the big problem of who's gonna make it?
Right.
Who's gonna be the person to make that character? And then other people be like, I wanted to make the main character.
Yeah.
it could
So
be
you
a
have
big
that the
collaboration.
unnecessary drama that just doesn't need to be there.
Hell can make it.
I think, like Keld said, like if people want to get together and do a collaboration and be like, hey, let's
Yeah.
make this one character and just make a different episode for him for each of the Reflex episodes, that would be perfectly fine.
It could also be like a recurring character only at the like final part of the episode, like having it have some kind of lore, just really messy episode, but at the end having some kind of lore.
Like-
It would be stupid, but yeah. It would be.
I mean, you could do that.
I'm going to take this opportunity to slide in with a little break here. Let everyone stretch their legs for a few minutes. I'm going to play us some Dreamflix, and when we get back, I'd like to go deep on suggestions, prompts, themes. Call them what you want. But I think we've got some interesting ideas going here, and I'd love to get into detail about what would make for good suggestions for asset creation. Right after this.
Wait.
I'll be back. I won't be back. Bye. I got
Zelly
work.
Beans, thank you so much.
Hi, Sally Beans.
Bye.
Have a
Hi,
good
Zelly
day.
Beans.
Bye.
Goodbye.
We're
Bye.
back.
Like Kirby.
Road Kirby heading out.
Oh, we just
Yeah,
started
funny
the stream
enough,
up again.
as soon as you came back, I had to go.
I'm so glad you could be here. Thank you for being here today, Road Kirby.
No problem. It was a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. Hope I can drop by some later.
I look forward to catching you in season 2 and before.
All right.
Take
Goodbye.
care.
Later.
Then there were 5.
Oh, our perfect Brady Bunch square is ruined, but I'm still Alice. Got that going for me. Okay, so suggestions and theme. I think I'm going to bring up on the stream here. I'm going to bring up the Dreamflix collection just to give people an idea of what they were like before and review some of the old suggestions.
While you're doing that, we basically kind of agreed while you were gone that 10 minutes is a good cap for episode length.
Oh, episode
soft
length.
cap.
That's a good thing I didn't have on my list. Does anyone not? Does anyone have anything
we
to
agree.
say
It's
also
basically
saying,
just
like,
in opposition to 10 minutes?
10-minute soft cap.
I was
Soft
thinking
cap
like
10
a,
minutes.
like a soft cap, like if you're like 10:01, like you're not gonna be.
I mean, if I'm being real, like the cap in season 1 was soft because every single time someone went over, I put it through anyways.
Yeah, wasn't that somebody's
I'm pretty
joke?
sure mine was over like by a little bit, but yeah.
And a couple people
think that-
like Avox did had multiple scenes. Well, I think Avox, did you have yours in one scene and then you split it?
No. Mine was in one scene to begin with, but we discussed switching it to multiple scenes just for performance issues.
Yeah.
And I still don't know if it runs super great. I need to optimize it. I never because the thing is, I don't have my PS4 around anymore, so it's very hard for me to optimize for PS4.
Yeah. Without a PS4, it's kind of impossible to know if your creation is going to play well on one. I really hope that's something that they improve on in the future, and we can get some testing tools that
That's
will
probably a
simulate
discussion for another
PS4.
podcast.
But yeah, that's another topic. So I've got, here's the episode 1 prompts, and we had 5 prompts for most of the season. Which one did we cut out? I think we cut out mood later on. Let's see.
Yeah.
Mood, yeah.
If I go to episode 6, yeah. So by episode 6, we had decided that mood was unnecessary, and we were using genre, characters, location, and activity. Now, looking at this right now, location, I feel like, is a must. Like, if you want to have location assets that can work together, I think
the
location
assets.
has got to be on the list. Activity, I feel like, is a pretty helpful one. I mean, it gives you some other. Maybe it's not specific, like activity sounds pretty general, but let's see. In episode 6, it was power outage. In episode 5, it was technical difficulties. Episode 4, it was speed dating.
It's also worth noting these are for the assets.
Yeah. Yeah, and so what I'm thinking right now is I really like the idea that we have the prompts for asset creation and then a singular prompt for the filmmaking. And then maybe even that singular prompt could be the episode title. Maybe episode 1 is called, I'm just going to say, Thinking Outside the Box again. Maybe that's the name of the episode, and that is your one prompt as a filmmaker. And then from there,
The good thing about that one as an example is it is vague enough to where you could go in so many different directions with that.
Yeah. Now,
Using the same asset still gives it an air of coherency.
right.
Maybe
Or having assets themed around the prompts if you decide to make them for your own thing.
Yeah, I'm finding it pretty attractive. I think, I don't know, is there anyone here who's like, excuse me, who finds it really disappointing that you don't have, like, would you find it really disappointing to not have genre, for instance, as one of the prompts? I guess I need to be more specific since we're talking about all these different.
I would be fine with genre as a prompt as long as everything else is pretty much open. I mean, like as a very general prompt, like if you said sci-fi, okay, but then I would need a story. That's not story to me. I would want a story prompt, like that's about a relationship or it's about losing something. or it's about something like
Yeah,
that, kind
yeah.
of general.
Yeah.
Do you think if we include genre, well, let me just ask, do you think genre should be part of these suggestions for asset creation? Or
I personally feel like it is. It should be because I know as long as it's known as a suggestion. Because I know
Right.
I'm a person who's bad at coming up. I'm good at coming up with stories, but starting in the point is really bad for me. So having that genre would give me a good starting point. Like if the genre was, let's say, sitcom, I know I would try to make another a bear sitcom episode. I can't remember what I called it.
oh yeah, yeah.
So I would like a genre just so I can know someplace to start.
So it wouldn't seem too discordant to have a genre as part of the asset creation prompts, but then not to judge people, not to restrict people to your film has to be a sci-fi film, it has to be a documentary, right?
Mhm.
It seems a little backwards.
Definitely
Like,
don't. I don't think you should tell someone like it has to be a documentary.
It
Like you
should.
said,
You
like
shouldn't
or
have to
like
say it
when you were
has to
talking
be.
about
It's more of a
wildlife.
suggestion.
Yeah, I guess you could suggest it, but I wouldn't want that kind of restriction personally.
I would like to see variety in the genres for the films of a single week.
Yeah, I mean,
Like I would want to see a horror film and a documentary and a little story.
I'm kind of wondering if it is a little backwards, or if we could come up with something more useful than genre for the prompt, because like, I mean, if we take, I don't know, episode 2 for instance, the genre is science fiction.
What if you take away genre and you just say setting? Because a setting and a genre are pretty different. Like if you want to say the setting
That could
is
work.
in space, then the genre doesn't have to be horror, for example. The genre, like there's all kinds of things you can do in space, and the
Yeah.
person who's deciding could choose what kind of tone to go with.
Would
The
setting
location setting?
Yeah, would setting be the same as location, or would we want to have a broad setting and then a more specific location, perhaps?
The setting, I guess, could also be time.
Yeah, I
Again,
mean,
it's also important to reiterate that these are suggestions, that it doesn't specifically have to be every single one of these.
I mean, I think the goal for me in making a good suggestion is, just we need to have just to create some cohesion with the assets that are available to people.
I think location would be for assets, though, right? Not for the filmmaking.
Right. Oh, were you talking about for the filmmaking?
No. I was saying, yeah, I was talking about for the filmmaking. We could say that we could have a setting, but not a genre.
Ah, I gotcha.
So what would the example be?
A setting, like I said, like in space could be a setting. You could say Victorian, as a setting. Punk is a setting. It's not a genre. Like you could have genres within those settings.
But if we already have, like, would it be better to just have that as part of the asset prompts? Like, would it inform the filmmaking prompts differently? Yeah.
I guess it's better to have that during the asset section anyway, because I mean, like, obviously, if all your assets are in a certain setting, your film is probably going to be in that setting. But I guess it doesn't have to be.
So let's say, location and activity, I think are pretty solid. I think those give asset creators a lot to work with. I like characters, but also I feel like the sort of restriction of it. Like, oh, every single character in this episode is going to be a pig now. Okay.
Well, I think that if we have characters carry over from earlier episodes, that it won't be as much of a problem because and it's just like, well, I just have these new characters that I could use. You don't have to use from that pool of new characters necessarily.
Right.
Or we could we don't have to limit the species, but we could like kind of like the genre. I guess what would you say the type? Person, let's say kung fu
Can we do
fighters.
that for season 1?
Right, like occupation, other descriptors for the characters. I mean, if you voted, like, if the characters were, I don't know, sanitation workers,
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
pirates.
then-
We had pirates as one type, right?
Right.
And then that one
Yeah,
that
no.
one we got all
Yeah.
kinds of characters.
Yeah, and pirate is definitely an occupation.
We got
I
a
mean, yeah,
frog
do something
pirate,
like that.
and we didn't
It's a
even
very
have to
valid
say make
occupation.
a frog.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you didn't have to say make a frog or make a cat.
That's interesting. So maybe we could leave that open. Would you? I'm still thinking about how do we get humans? How do we get some?
I
How do
mean,
we get
you
some
could-
humans involved?
You could say that humans are always allowed. I don't know. Is that too weird
Well,
to
I
say?
mean, what I just thought of is like, because obviously the prompts, and it doesn't have to be all of them. So if you like, they could make a character based on the location that has been selected rather than the characters, and it could still potentially work. Maybe.
I mean, I'm comfortable with like that. That sounds great to me. I wonder if people will interpret it that way. Like, I mean, definitely for the assets. If you're taking, like, I definitely would not be looking at assets, judging them, going, well, you made a miner with an underwater diving outfit, but it's a human instead of a pig. So, what's your problem? I don't know. I think that's a good point. Maybe.
Like if the characters, like let's just use that example then. If the characters are pigs but the location is underwater, if you make a human character that's like a diver, that's still on theme because it's underwater and that's the location.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
True.
So it would still work.
Yeah.
And also, you're allowed to have collaborators, so you could collaborate somebody who makes assets, and they could make whatever you want.
Right.
Definitely. So if we had so it's feeling like location, activity, and characters are all pretty useful. And like people shouldn't feel too limited. I mean, maybe I can express that a little more clearly, like for the asset creation, just to say, hey, create an asset inspired by any of these prompts. Maybe just adding those words in, just any
It
of
could
the
even
prompts
be like
rather
a
than,
film, like a film where there's no characters at all.
Wasn't that the whole prompt, the inanimate objects thing? That was like the whole thing, it was like saying, "Oh, there's
Yeah,
no."
but they were
puppet.
characters, right? They
Yeah, they were
inanimate-
characters.
I get.
Duckonomics
like
Duckonomics wants a still
environmental
life
stories.
film. It's
Yeah.
the character is the environment.
like how it's made, where there's like
Oh,
things
yeah.
going on a factory line.
Doesn't have to be
Oh,
any
that would be kind of hard
characters
to
at all.
animate.
Well, I feel like those three prompts are good. Could that be enough? I mean, location, activity, and character type. Could that be enough to give us the fuel to make these assets?
I think so.
I can't think of anything else to get at.
Yeah, that would just
You
be
could
cutting out genre
expand-
and mood, basically, from.
You could expand location out to setting just so that we can say which time period. Because if you just say location, then it can be any time.
That's true.
I don't know if that's.
I mean, time period could be a useful one. Anyone
I
else have a
guess
thought
so.
on that?
It's not like these have to be set in stone either. As the season progresses, we could change whatever we're doing.
For sure. Well,
Are
I'm
we
feeling pretty good about
did
that.
we-
If
did
anyone,
we agree on a 3-week cycle or a monthly cycle, or is that still up in the air?
I like the 1 week assets, 2 weeks.
I like, yeah, the
film.
1 week assets, 2 week filmmaking, but technically 3 weeks filmmaking because we can make the storyboard doing every week. Everyone makes the assets.
We have to remember that there's also a voting period, right?
yeah. Last season that just overlapped. Like at the end of the episode 1 production cycle, we would start episode 2, and you could vote on episode 1.
Do you plan on having a week of buffer between the episodes, or just going right into
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, that would definitely, if we did 7 episodes, that would stretch it out to like 7 months at that point with buffer weeks. I mean, buffer weeks give me a little breathing room, but also they're going to stretch the whole event out a little bit longer. As
wouldn't,
creators, how do you feel about having a buffer week?
I say a buffer week is fine. So you're not. So it's just like for the people who are making assets and doing films, they're not. Oh, just finished this 2 week film. Now I have to start making assets again if they want to participate. So I say a buffer week to kind of like R&R is fine.
A buffer week could be the voting week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be the thing that's going on that week. Just scrolling through chat here to see what people are saying, and I'm letting a kitty out. Yes, Lena.
I think it's nice to have a little break, for filmmakers.
Right.
Because if they don't get a break, that can easily lead to burnout.
Persistent
Yeah,
kitty.
you lose
Gives people more time to check out what everybody else made last week too.
I'm still not sure how I feel about not being able to start on the film and having to wait a whole week when I could start prior.
Well, you can still set up the storyboard. Yeah, storyboard.
Right.
And I mean, if
Maybe
you know,
find some
like,
collaborators.
if you know you want specific assets for your film that other people might not make, I mean, it's time to do that. I really do like the idea of the episode title being the prompt for all the films, so that you do have to wait in a way. Like you could dream up all sorts of stuff, and maybe you can shoehorn your existing idea in. But I like the idea
with
that
2 whole weeks. 2 whole weeks to make a film, I feel like it wouldn't be too difficult. Like if you had a story you wanted to go with the prompts for the characters or whatever, I feel like it wouldn't be too hard to slap the prompt in for the episode or whatever you're making, because 2 weeks is still a while.
Mm-hmm.
And you might not even, if you have like 3 weeks to make a film, you wouldn't even be done with the film in the first week. So it wouldn't be hard at all to incorporate it midway through, whatever you're doing. So I feel like you could totally be able to just completely start working on the entire film, and then midway through you get the prompt to flesh it out for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think you could, but I think I like the restriction of not letting people start film production during asset week. I mean, I like I like that all the assets, if you're not starting until the assets are done, then all the assets made that week have a good shot of being made, as opposed to like it being weighted towards ones that get made early in the week.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
I do like that a lot.
It would be more.
I mean, you could always nothing stopping you from thinking up ideas during that point. You can just brainstorm.
Yeah, brainstorm and storyboard or script or.
I guess that could also give you a good amount of time to plan how long the episode's going to be and how you're going to make it in those 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and it can be more beginner friendly, because like the beginners, they can just start once they got the assets, while the more professional people can start a week early.
Right.
Yeah, I like.
So how would that work?
Would
you? Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, as far as the prompts go, like you said, making the title, the name, the prompt, the name of the episode. I think it would be cool to do that, but I think it would maybe be good to have it as like say the prompt is something like going outside. Then you have that as the prompt, but you could also elaborate on it a little bit in the actual template. So like kind of like how MM does their jams, where they have like a specific title for the jam, like Winter Holidays or something. And then when you open it up, it says like create something that's in the blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It'll have like a little bit more detail in there. I think maybe you could do something like that, where we say, if the title is outside the box, then in the thing it can say create something that is blah 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 blah, and maybe have like a little bit more to work with.
Yeah.
While still being vague enough to where it's not too restrictive.
So in theory, you would release the actual scene you would make the film in after that first week is passed.
Yeah, yeah. Same way we did in season 1.
I'm gonna head out.
Is that Falcarich?
That was
me. Oh, Duckonomics?
That's a duck.
No, yeah.
Hi, Duck.
Duckonomics, thank you for being here. I really appreciate
Duck,
it.
easy.
Thanks for sharing all your thoughts.
My tail is wagging at you. Wagging by.
Okay. Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. 4 remain. Six little rectangles, but only 4.
I feel like it's a battle royale here. There can only be one.
Well, I've got let's see. I didn't. Boy, a lot of people talking in chat. I'm going to be listening to this episode and reading through the chat after it's done. So yeah. So
Let's get all the feedback.
We'll hopefully get a chance to absorb all this. Dreams Engineer said, "What about having an option to choose between two genres, comedy or horror, and that way we can see some interesting contrasting films?" That's fun. I'm kind of leaning towards no genre label though. I mean, at least for.
Right, because that adds more restrictions for people
Right.
who don't want to do either of those things.
I really do like the idea, though, that we could see a comedy film back to back with a horror film with the same set of characters. I think that's even
You'll
more
see that anyway.
crazy. And
I feel like you could see that anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think you need that restriction in there to have that be something that happens, because there will be plenty of people who make silly, not serious films, and then people like myself who will make very serious films. You'll have that contrast either way.
Yeah. Twitcher said, if the assets are cohesive, the films need not be restricted in any way. But as the weeks go on, that cohesion will be lost if we're using all previous assets. I think there's definitely a risk of that. Like you get to episode 6 and people are using episode 1 stuff, and it becomes each episode becomes a little less unique. But I'm kind of willing to see how that plays out.
Yeah, we can try it out, and if it don't work out, we can definitely.
Yeah, if that becomes a problem, you could put setting as a restriction for the film as well.
That's true.
Because I don't think that's too bad of a restriction to work with, because there's still so many directions you can go with one setting.
I feel like most people are going to be excited to use the new location assets too,
right.
like every episode.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like,
I know. I definitely use the new stuff.
Even if you have like characters that you can use from the previous episode, I don't think that's going to stop people from using the newer assets, because that's how the story progresses.
Yep.
Like if you have your characters that you use for your episode and you want to carry that story forward, the fact that every new episode is a new setting, new location, automatically progresses that story forward and stays on theme with the episode.
That's a good point. Like, especially if I have a consistent character. Like if I create a detective guy in episode 1, and in episode 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe I want him to go to the different unique locations.
Exactly. There's already continuity there, and I don't think that's going to stop people from using the newer assets.
I think hearing you describe that sounds really exciting to me, because it feels like it gives people a chance to just put more of their personal intent into the project.
Right.
Like the idea that someone might have their own story arc that goes through the season is pretty exciting to me. I think that's really cool.
I would probably do that, honestly.
You got to make them all consistent though, like in quality, so that they get voted into the episode.
Right.
Oh, you know what? That's something that's not even on my list, but I would love to hear if people's thoughts on the voting and the sort of episode / bonus feature setup, the way that the program was created last year. Does anyone have thoughts on that aspect? Did people feel good about it?
I think it was good. Because I think that kind of narrowing it down, but still including everybody at the bonus features, I think that was a great way of kind of making sure that everyone was still included, while at the same time kind of not making the runtime of the entire episode be 40 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, so season 1, my guideline was top 3. I'd take the top 3 into the episode no matter what. And if the runtime was a little short and it felt like the episode would benefit, like I basically was just making a judgment call beyond that. Like if there was a film that really stood out that maybe came in late and didn't get the votes, I might tack that on at the end, even if it was mine. Or yeah, I felt pretty good about it, and I didn't get any negative feedback. So I don't know. I think I'll probably keep
I'd say we keep it the way it is for now, because there is a problem with it. I don't think it's really come up, and I think changing it right now might introduce more problems than it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like of all the things we've talked about, I not at any point did the voting appear in my head as any semblance of an issue or something that needs to change at all.
I do have do want to kind of say what Treble's talking about. Like what he's saying. What about the again newer people who not as good as some other ones, and they never get voted in? It would kind of make them self conscious and maybe don't want to return for future weeks. Like that's something I'm a little bit worried about. That with us having more time as well. Like let's say someone they only been able to work on it for like the maybe like 10 hours, while somebody else probably worked on it for 30 hours. That could lead to like some people maybe doing it one week and then get self conscious and losing faith in themselves and not doing it the next week.
Yeah.
I mean,
How would you
I think
handle a
if your
situation
story,
like
I
that?
think if your story is good, people will see that. Then people
yeah,
are actually less
absolutely.
concerned. Most people, I think, on Dreams are less concerned with animation quality as much as you would think. Like, I would upvote a less well animated film, less high produced film that I thought had a great story, over one that was a so-so story, but a lot of work into it. For a more high quality by.
Yeah.
I think having 2 whole weeks to make a film is just going to
Should be
automatically
enough time for
raise
anybody. Yeah.
right. It'll just automatically raise the quality across the board.
Yeah.
I don't think
Not
that'll be
just
that
not
much of a
just the
problem
higher
at all.
creators is what you're saying.
Right.
Like anyone would have time to
For
make like their vision.
everyone.
I agree with what Avox is
Having
saying
more
too.
time, just like having more time automatically results in stuff being better because you have more time to polish it and make it smoother and adding more little details in there that you just wouldn't have before if you only had a week.
Yeah. And I think to Avox's point, if all you got to do is make people feel something. I mean, that's really it.
Exactly.
Like, I love to get caught up in the technicals. And I appreciate, I appreciate when I see a shortened dream that's very slick. That's really just the production is super slick. I appreciate that. But all you got to do is make people feel something. Like Pigitis isn't that slick, but it makes me laugh. It makes me smile the whole way through. Like the story delights me, and it doesn't need it didn't have to be slick to bring people joy.
Pixar.
Yeah,
a great story can always carry, like if you don't have stuff visually great, a great story can carry that all the way through.
absolutely.
You do not need great visuals to tell a great story and have people hooked.
It sounds
I've learned that before.
It sounds like there's a lot of discussion in chat about the asset creation period. Just whether 1 week or 2 week might be better. If people were open to 1 week of assets, 2 weeks of film production, and a buffer week, would people also be open to 2 weeks of asset creation and 2 weeks of filmmaking? Or is it really? I mean, I feel like maybe the negative is that people don't want 2 weeks, like to have to wait 2 weeks to start on their film. I feel like that might be the biggest impediment for the people I'm talking to right now. Who are also, I should mention, like everyone on the show today made films for Dreamflix. I didn't get any people who were only asset creators. Not intentionally. I invited. I had it open to anyone, but the people who came were all people who made films. So we're definitely getting a weighted perspective.
I definitely would be happy if I had to wait until week 3 just to start my film.
That sounds uncomfortable to you.
I feel intentionally called out by sounds like trouble right now.
Oh,
Some people won't start until the deadline is close, anyways. It's probably me.
I don't know anything about that.
that is true.
A 1 week or 2 week doesn't make a difference if you're only going to start 24 hours before the deadline.
Any weeks, yeah.
Also, having 2 weeks to make film is also good for me because I'm going to be working on an animated series and I don't know if I'm going to have time to work on anything Dreamflix related. So having 2 whole weeks to make a little something is very good for me and actually might allow me to have time to anticipate when I thought I wouldn't otherwise.
Bustin' Jeebers said that's why we open the topic at the start of week 2, but still allow new assets to fit the theme or fill out the collection. I don't know. How would you feel, Bustin', about 1 week of asset creation, but we still take assets into the filmmaking period. I don't know if that would please you. I mean, it kind of accomplishes the same thing. Like, you could start your films at week 1, and if you want to make an asset and have people use it, you're going to want to make it. It's kind of what I did last season anyway. Now that I'm thinking about it, when people brought in assets late, I put them in the collection. I even put them in the scene when I had the capacity. So I guess we kind of been operating that way. Sorry. Go ahead.
If we do the thing where you have 1 week of asset creation and 2 weeks of films where you can still make assets, you pretty much know going into that, after that 1 week is over, that you know there's a chance your asset might not get used as much. Yeah. You already know that going in, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to.
You know, I think I could definitely add something to the starting element to make it more clear that we'll take them.
Assets will get added over time.
Yeah, if you make one later, like Zellybeans just said, if you're a filmmaker and there's something you want to make for your film during the filmmaking period, you could still create that and share it with everyone else. So anyone who wanted to use it during that time. It would be available.
People could ask around if they need certain type of assets that maybe they're not either good at making or they don't know how to make it. They'd be like, hey, I need like a fishing rod and I suck at fishing rods. And so you could just ask around the people who are going to make assets and someone can make that during that 2 week period.
Yeah. Boy, we're getting close to the end of our time. Again, like if anyone needs to duck out at any point, if the conversation goes a little past 2:30 Central, forgive me, but because I got one more big topic I really want to. No, actually, okay, I got one big topic, but I think we left episode length hanging, or it was just that the discussion took place during the break while I was.
Yeah,
the discussion basically took place during the break. We basically already. Yeah.
Something Zelly was saying, and that raises an interesting point, is I think in the past with the first season of Dreamflix, if you wanted to make a custom asset for your video, you could do that, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So then the question is, is it okay to request someone else to make you an asset, and is that still allowed, like just for you?
Well,
or would it have to be included in the collection?
I think they would need to be your collaborator, because in order to make a custom asset for yourself, like one of the restrictions of Dreamflix is when you make a film, you can use the assets that are pre-made and you can build anything you want in the scene. There's no restriction on building new things for yourself in the scene. So if you wanted to have someone else come and make an asset for you, I would say the best way would be either have them remix the starting element and we could put it in the collection for everyone, or add them as a collaborator to your film and just have them make it in the film. Because it would be, I would reject it because I have to enforce some rule somewhere. I will reject things if someone uses outside elements, things that weren't made for Dreamflix. That is definitely a rule that gets enforced, unlike some of them.
We definitely. Go ahead.
What I don't like about that is that asset is no longer available in the Dreamverse for other people to use later on.
Right.
How do you mean? I'm sorry.
I mean, if with custom assets, you mean? If someone makes an asset?
Yeah, if it's only made within the scene, nobody else will ever be able to use it again.
But I mean, that's Dreams in general. I mean,
they can remix it out. Like, you can remix it out, so it's usable, but it's not instantly accessible. It's not searchable. It's of much less use.
When you make scenes for Dreamflix, it had to be remixable.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we basically did discuss the whole how long should an episode's length be, and we basically all agreed, like, a soft cap at 10 minutes is perfect. It was pretty unanimous.
Any thoughts on that in chat? I mean, look, the reason, I guess the reason I was leaning towards shorter times in season 1 was when I designed the whole event in the first place, I didn't know how many people would participate. I thought, it might be 2 or 3 people who make films, or it might be 30 people who make films. Right. Now, if we had that kind of participation, I know 30 people aren't going to make 10-minute films, but if they do, now I've got 300 minutes of content to curate. So that's one of the reasons I was leaning towards shorter. We don't have that problem.
I mean, You could also cap it out with the way you have been doing by only including the top episodes as the official episodes, and then the rest is just
that kind of fixes that
complimentary.
problem.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the fact that like I set up a system where they're skippable is the other reason like that we can get away with 10 minutes. If you had to sit through everything in order to like vote and stuff, I would be lowering it like considerably. Like we would be doing much shorter shorts, I think.
I would be outraged if we had to do shorter.
I think I think 10 minutes could work. I think there's no reason it couldn't work. And if people have the
it's not saying that
appetite-
everyone has to make 10 minutes. People can still make, sub 2-minute videos.
Just because 10 is cap does not mean every film will be 10 minutes. It doesn't mean any film will ever reach 10 minutes. It just is a nice soft cap for people.
And I mean, I've heard it a lot. Like I've seems like people are hungry for a little more leeway on the time there. What about the lower limit? I think it was 30 seconds for all of season 1. Maybe I changed it to 30 seconds later on. Does that feel?
I think that's fine. 30 seconds is good.
Because I can't remember who it is. Cause, it's been a while. The person who only make really short animations, but they be really high quality.
Yovork? Like, yeah.
Yovork,
I mean, if you if it's less than 30 seconds, I mean, you blink and you miss it.
Yeah. I feel like it becomes like another genre of like micro shorts at that point. Like that's, I mean, I would enjoy that jam, but yeah, I feel like 30 seconds feels pretty good to me. Let's move on to my last big topic that I've got is, well, it's I want to make a hub. I'm thinking, and I'd love some feedback. I'm thinking about making a physical space that operates as the menu for Dreamflix instead of the menu that we've had. So let me just launch an episode here. And for anyone who's viewing...
Would this hub be for every episode, or would it be for the entire season?
For the season. For the season. So now that
I kind of really liked the hub that you had for the first season. But when you say you wanted one that you could like walk around in?
Yeah, playing with that idea. I mean, I think we could definitely do something. So the menu for each season looked like this. Pretty straightforward. It's a lot of text, and I feel like there was definitely I want people to understand what's going on, because this is an ongoing, it's a dynamic event, right? And I want people to more clearly understand the flow of the event. And I don't have all the details sorted out, but in my mind, when I imagine a hub that you could walk around, I feel like it might be easier to tell the story of the event with that sort of context.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this kind of like what like DreamsCon would be where you just walk around to each each week and you can watch the film from there?
What I'm imagining is, let's just say it's a movie theater, right? So let's say the hub is a movie theater. You launch Dreamflix season 2 Dream, and boom, I'm in a movie theater. And I look over at Theater 1. There's a big sign up for Theater 1 that says, vote for your episode 2 favorites. And then another theater to the side that says, watch episode 1 now. And what else? I mean, what else do you need to... I mean, one thing that it does is it puts the whole event in one place. Whereas what we did in season 1, I released an episode 1 Dream and then an episode 2 Dream. And so there's like this dynamic event taking place within that one Dream. But I feel like I saw a lot of people go and check it out and not really understand that there is a voting process. Or
I think that I see what you're saying, and it sounds really interesting. But I think that adding in the extra layer of making it like a platformer or a first person, it might actually obscure it more than you intend to. Yeah. And I think that maybe having one hub Dream, that is a good idea for season 2. And I think that The way that you did season 1 is you had the hub dream come in at the end after all the individual dreams were. I think if you had the hub dream now from the beginning
Mhm.
and just updated it as time went on,
Yeah.
that could work better.
The build off of it, I think, yeah, you should have like kind of like what you did for season 1, where you have that, but
Mhm.
it'll be a big hub dream that gets updated every week.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, I feel like we could make the movie theater. You could have possibly, I don't know if you could, if it would be too much work to have both. One that kind of just snapped straight to it, because so like you're saying, it won't obscure it, but also in the movie theater, we could include some more we can include some of the assets in the scene, or have like little creator cameos or quotes from the filmmakers, so it can be something more interactive and
That would be
fun with
cool.
the movie theater.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel you would need something just quick and snappy that isn't the movie theater.
I mean, one thing
I do
I
really
was
like.
Go ahead.
I do really like that idea of an interactive space, though, where you can like roam around and then maybe you can see like season 1 related stuff and see those characters and learn about that, and then like for going into the actual episodes, you would sit down in the movie theater, sit down in your chair, and it would like zoom into the big screen, and then it goes into the episode.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you'd have like a little transition there. I really like that hub idea though.
Yeah,
Being able to
I
like
do
actually
like that
roam
idea.
in the space.
I do like that idea, but I feel like again, like you were saying, it would scare the whole thing and probably make people like forget to vote because they're having so much fun in the theater. So I say we need like a separate thing that is just quick and snappy that you can vote on. But
Especially if
the
you just want
problem,
to find one specific,
yeah,
one specific video.
you don't
It's
have
like you
to
don't
spend like two
necessarily
minutes
want to
walking
have
around.
to go to the platformer space.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Still having a
you.
menu would be nice.
Yeah, I think you want
Yeah.
both. For
Right.
people who don't have whole lot of time, they always spend a lot of time watching the films. You don't want them to walk to see the film. So
Yeah, I mean, another thing, boy, I'm really of two minds on this, because one of the goals I had with, creating Dreamflix was to make content that's completely non-interactive. To make something that if you want, you can just turn it on and just leave it sit and enjoy it. And a hub definitely, in considering, like, what if we made a hub like that looks like a movie theater and it does all this stuff, and in considering that idea, I feel like I would also need a quick menu. Like if we did put a person like plop, you're in a movie theater, press touchpad if you want to just bring up the quick menu, and the quick menu might say vote on episode 1, watch episode 2, like what's going on right now, and it would just give you the three or whatever options for what you could do. Vote on episode 1,
that's exactly
watch
what I
episode
mean.
2. Maybe it would also say we're making an asset for, boy, it's like this. There's so much to communicate. It's really difficult for me to figure out how to present all this information to someone so that they get what's happening.
Right.
It's tricky.
It's funny you mentioned the whole interactive thing, because that's one of the things we talked about while you were gone, about that idea you had for a choose your own adventure Dreamflix special.
Oh yeah.
Do you still plan on doing that?
I still like the idea.
Just gonna say, I think that the necessary information could be kept within the collection. I think where the collection could be like, this is what's happening now, voting or whatever.
Yeah.
And this is what's happening. These are and then here's the assets. I think that information could be communicated with the collection, because while I agree that it would be super cool to have all of those things that you mentioned, I don't think that. I think you should consider like how much extra work that would be too.
Right.
In putting all that together, and might just bog down the whole thing, to especially having to update it all the time to be like current and up to date, and making sure that if someone gets into it, it's giving all the most up to date information. It's a lot easier to update a collection than it is to update the text or the physical locations of things inside a dream. And maybe it would be cool to have it as like season finale. You could have like a hub dream for that, and then have that be like an event, kind of. People who maybe weren't watching it along during the season could go back and be like have it all in one place and have it as like just a cool kind of like the Impy Awards. You know how it's like an event. Maybe that could just
Yeah.
be more towards the end rather than something that's constantly being updated the whole time.
If you're having,
It's just
if
something to think about.
the problem you're having is getting people on board with what exactly it is, you could easily just make a dream where you explain the entire, like, explain what Dreamflix is, explain the process. Maybe play that at the start of the season for people who are going to jump.
Like a start here dream or something.
Or maybe like in the episodes themselves, you could have a little thing, a little button you could press that just kind of explains everything, and that'll take you to that dream where you explain this is Dreamflix, this is how we do it, this is the process, and then have that in all the different episodes so that anyone who jumps on board at any given episode has a way to understand what is going on with this thing.
You know, I'm
They
thinking.
just have a what is Dreamflix button.
What is Dreamflix, right?
I'm thinking about what Avox said, and I just pulled up the season 1 dream, which as we said, I published after season 1 was over. Like before season 1 was over, we just had the individual episode dreams. I published this to kind of contain the whole season in one place, and also so that you could watch the entire season unbroken. You press X here, you watch 85 minutes of every episode that was made for the season, or 58 minutes for the bonus features. Oh, also the shuffle. Og has finished the scenes for the shuffling. He sent them to me yesterday, so should be getting that going
That's super
soon.
cool.
I'm excited.
Awesome.
Nice.
And
That's awesome.
but so Avox was saying like maybe not a hub, but maybe have the season 1 dream or the season 2 dream published at the start of the season, and that's where everything happens. I'm thinking in that instance, I would still probably publish episode dreams, probably, or does that just confuse things?
You would.
Could still do that, but I would still have that hub, like right here, exactly what we're looking at right now. It could say like episode 2 coming soon, and
Yeah.
it would just have the most up to date episode right there.
I think you would do both. You would have the episode itself as a standalone dream and also add it to this hub dream so that people could they could just watch the dreams as they're released or keep returning to the hub if they want.
And I'm kind of imagining now, this lays things out pretty cleanly, right? The episodes are all distinct, and I'm imagining like if it's season 2 and here's episode 1, season 2, maybe I need a little sign for like the edge of the shelf or something that says vote now. And then a sign for, so if episode 2 is in voting, maybe episode 2 says vote on your favorites, and maybe that's the default position it loads you into when you bring up the dream. And maybe episode 1 says, I don't know, I guess, would it say watch, like, I don't know.
I think
Would
it has to
say
say
complete
anything.
or
Right.
I guess it doesn't. Once the voting's done, you just
One thing
leave it there.
when I first saw this that jumped out, well, not really jumped out at me, but I noticed is I went here to try and find the season finale, and I didn't even notice it at first. So pointing out which episode is the season, like obviously it's the one at the very end.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it just didn't because it was the cat. That's why I didn't think it was the season finale, because that was one of the previous episodes.
Right.
So having that be there just completely messed me up, because wait, if that's all with the cat, then where's the season finale? So maybe pointing out with having be season finale written there somewhere might help.
That's a good point.
Because I saw the cat and I thought of the horror or the pirate horror episode. I didn't think, oh, that's season finale.
Right. That's a good point.
Fixing that would probably help.
Boy, I gotta tell you, I'm so precious. I've gotten so attached to this hub idea. I think
I do really like
the
that
smart
hub
play
idea, honestly.
is to do what
it would be a
Avox
pain to
said.
do. Right.
If I did the hub, I would also at that point I would definitely be asking a collaborator or two to get involved. I don't have the time to make the hub of my dreams from scratch.
Yeah.
But I do want, it's important to me, because Dreamflix is all from scratch, it would be important to me to make the hub not out of existing assets. I would almost want to scheme and say, ooh, let's make the theme or the location for episode 1 a movie theater.
Then
we'll have one. We'll be good. Yeah, I'm really
I do
precious.
also like.
Oh, go ahead.
I do also like the idea of using the hub for the finale and make it an event where
Well,
you
then you can
celebrate
have
all the
people make
previous
assets.
episodes.
Yeah, like a red
You can have
carpet
people,
viewing.
you could have people collab on the assets for the hub.
Right,
Yeah.
and the hub could be a celebration of that season, and possibly like maybe there's a backdoor that shows season 1 somewhere or something, and it's a celebration of all the episodes of that season, with a finale being on the big screen.
I
You
like
could do
that.
a community event for the hub.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a red carpet viewing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I mean like a Qatar jam. Just do a jam and have people make assets for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The assets could also be. They could even be like a statue, for example, of a character from a season.
I think that's boy, I think that really actually opens up my thinking about making
It's almost
some
like
sort of
it could be like
experience.
it could be the hub could be not just a movie theater, but it could be like a museum almost.
Yeah.
Movie
Yeah.
theater museum.
I wonder if a video store, like, man, movie theater seems so right because it's where you go to watch movies, but like being as the VHS tape became the icon
Could be a
for
video store
Dreamflix,
too.
a video store also
Movie theater
feels appropriate.
video store works, but a movie theater also works in the sense that it's an event.
Yeah, yeah. I think
If it's a store, it doesn't feel like quite as big of an event. It kind of brings
It's true.
the
It's hard to get
whole
excited about
energy
a
down.
video store.
Let's go to the movie store, the video store.
Yeah. And then,
It's
and then I gotta
blockbuster.
drive home before I watch it, and
Right. But if it's a movie theater, it's bigger, it's grand, it actually feels like an event's happening.
Twitcher said could have a separate ongoing challenge to make movie posters for the shorts. Let me ask this. One thing that I spent a lot of time on last season was making thumbnails for each of the dreams.
Ooh.
Like I set my standards very high, and then I would put in I'd be like 5 hours, 6 hours, like making a thumbnail.
Honestly, those thumbnails were really, really good though.
Thumbnails are really
Dude,
good.
Rebel just made an interesting idea.
Different seasons could use different formats. Ha! VHS,
Whoa,
Laserdisc, DVD, Blu-ray.
I was
Nice.
thinking about having it be DVDs for season 2, but I didn't want to make you reinvent the wheel on that because it's
Well, on the plus side, the DVD would be much easier to create than the VHS tape was.
Also,
that
the
is true.
VHS also seems very like special to Dreamflix.
Well, the reason I
it's
did
kind of
the
iconic at
VHS
this
tape
point, but-
is, for me, VHS is where I started making films. Like when I was 12, my best friend at the time, his family had a VHS camcorder, and we just started making music videos and making our own shows. And so for me, the VHS format, it's got that homemade, like AV club charm to it, and
it does have a charm to it.
yeah, and I mean I think it also
has that B movie charm. Yeah.
It also, I think I was trying to set an expectation, like with the sort of handwritten logo on a VHS tape that like, hey, this might be a little sloppy. Like that's okay. Like, things might get a little loose.
Right.
Well, I think you've definitely got me thinking about this hub in a different way, and I think it makes a better event space than it does a menu. And if I'm being honest, also, one of the things that's so appealing about it is I want to have some of that excitement of a physical space that you get from like Dreams Fest, And a Dreams Fest is different because it's all about that physical space, and it's all about we're going to launch this huge event all at one time. And Dreamflix is more of like this trickle of content and creation. So I don't want to get hung up on hub envy, but I'm definitely going to be thinking about some sort of hub space in a different way. I think there's a lot of possibilities that aren't make the menu into a hub. So that's very cool. Well, we've gone well over our time here.
Worth it though.
Yeah.
Thank you to the 4 who remain and to the 4 who had to leave.
So do we get $1 million cash prize for saying?
Yeah. If Lena meows right now, I'll give you $1 million.
Yeah.
Wait, hey. That sounded like a raccoon bird.
If she had actually meowed though, that would have just been
Raccoon birds
amazing.
hiss.
I'll be getting my lawyers ready.
So Avox,
Dead.
Donnie Burb, Falco Rich, Insane Alpha Beta. Do you guys have any closing thoughts or any topics that we haven't hit on that you wanted to bring up?
Well, I don't know if it'd be kind of selfish, just kind of talk about what's been going on with me.
Oh, feel free.
Because
you got something to plug.
Since I've been gone.
Since you've been gone.
No, don't bring it
Oh my god.
I just want to talk about how dreams. I just want to talk about how dreams have been helping me with some stuff. I was telling them during the break how I've been doing job interviews and been telling my job interviews about dreams, and they've been impressed by it.
Wild.
And actually, right now, I finished the last interview like last Friday. Last Friday, and they're gonna message me back soon for a QA job at a little video game company.
What? Oh, I really hope that works out. That's awesome.
And they really like how like my background with dreams and all that.
Yeah.
So it does help.
Very cool, Donnie. I'm very glad to hear about that. Anyone else got?
That's awesome.
Got anything? Got anything you desperately want to plug, or any closing thoughts?
I have like one thing.
Go for it.
I will be returning to the Main Dreams podcast this Friday to talk all about evolution. Finally,
no, I thought
I'll be uploading stuff throughout the week.
I was going to try and make a dumb joke about you discussing evolution when you should be talking about dreams, but. So
why not both?
So are you doing a solo episode over there?
Yes, it will be a solo episode.
Is that your second solo episode on the Maiden Dreams podcast?
Second solo one, yeah.
Oh my goodness. They must love you.
Actually, the Mighty Victor just said, here's a bunch of dates. If you want a spot, take it. And I'm like, can I have this one? He's like, you got it. And I'm like, yay! But yeah, I'll be talking all about evolution over there on Friday.
Cool. Evolution is the series. Would you say animated series?
It is the animated series that will be coming out on November 6th.
Of this year.
It's going to be a weekly series. 8 episodes.
That is crazy. That is crazy. How long are the episodes? Do you know yet?
I have no idea yet. I'm almost done with the script, though. And I'll probably be done with the script by Friday.
Well, do check out the Maiden Dreams podcast this Friday for a little more Insane Alpha Beta. Also, it's just a good place to be. I've been a little behind. I think I've got 2 or 3 episodes still I need to catch up on. But I was just listening to some
Still
last
can't
night.
wait for you to get Mighty and Jammy on here.
Oh, we will. We definitely will. And probably soon. I'll be hitting them up.
I guess
warm up the place
since
first.
I haven't said anything yet.
Go ahead.
I've been having a hard time creating in dreams lately. That's just because I'm currently in my final semester for my master's degree. So I've been working on my thesis, and once I get that done, then I gonna be probably getting a job. But all of that is still kind of there's a lot of unsure things in the air, so I'm still trying to figure a lot of things out what I'm going to do after I graduate. But,
and your thesis is why dreams is the best?
I wish. I do dreams to get away from my other studies, but yeah.
Can I ask what you're
I wish
studying?
I could make that.
Oh, I think I know
engineering?
this. Yeah. I was going to say it's some kind of engineering. But it was what did you call it? Because I remember we discussed this once.
So it's mechatronics.
Mechatronics. Yes. Don't ever say I'm doing engineering. You need every single time you bring it up, you need to say that you're getting a master's degree in mechatronics because, frankly, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically robotics. So mechanical and electrical engineering and computer science kind of altogether.
Vox, I'd like to order your finest mechs, please.
I know, right?
I would like 2 Power Rangers and 1 gun.
It's funny. It's funny because I'm one of the first students to be in that program. I'm a pilot student in the mechatronics program. People who I tell that to are like, "Oh, so you're gonna be a pilot for a mech?"
It's literally what
I
it
guess,
sounds
yeah.
like. It's so good.
Mechatronics pilot, Avox 23. Oh, that's amazing.
That's a better name than what my college thing was. We were known as the simulation animation design students, aka the sad students.
Oh no.
Aww, that's so sad.
It's wonderful.
Oh. Well, Falco-Rich, do you have any closing thoughts to share with us?
I'd like to thank you, Kel, for creating that Dreamflix. Netflix. And congratulations on everybody getting nominated.
Thank you, Falco-Rich. Thank you very much. I would like to thank you for
Yeah,
participating.
good luck on that,
and,
Kel.
Yeah, being awesome. Oh, yeah. By the way, hey, if you, there is, I think this is the last day to vote. So if you want to vote for Dreamflix for the community creation Impy, now's
and
the
vote
time.
now.
I voted for it.
Let me... I actually didn't vote yet because I wanted
vote
to
for
check
the
out
Impies.
more of the... There were some names on there whose work I didn't really know, and I wanted to check them out before I vote. But I just dropped a link in chat. If you want to, like I said, you want to give a vote for Dreamflix, it is there. Go for it. And boy,
3 MPs in a row.
3 imp. Well, I don't look. I did the math. Look, we already worked out the math on this like last week. But year 1, I got 4 noms. Year 2, 3. Year 3, I got 2 noms. And so they've been going down by 1 every year. Year 1, I won 1 Impy. And year 2, I won 2 Impies. So it stands to reason that I'm going to win 3 this year. I don't know how I'm going to pull out 2 nominations and turn that into 3 Impies, but the numbers don't lie. I mean, that's
if you cut
I've
one of the
taken a
Impies in
statistics
half,
class.
it's 3 Impies.
We had a whole binary video about how the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, numbers are facts, so you can't argue. You can't argue with
Yeah,
that.
because if you take binary of 1 1, that equals to 3. So
Done.
1 for each nomination you give a 1, and binary 1 1 is 3.
The evidence
true.
is mounting, folks. The
Thank you,
evidence is
Danny.
mounting. All right. Well, on that note, I'm going to say goodbye to all of you lovely dreamers, and I'm going to run this outro, and I'm going to say until next time, keep dreaming.
Bye, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Keep dreaming.
Bye. We love you. Oh, look at I didn't do. Oh man, I am the worst. I didn't have the audio unmuted for dreams. Okay, y'all ready? Let's pretend we didn't just say goodbye. And until next time, keep dreaming, everybody.
Look at you go, you listen to
Next
the
time,
keep dreaming.
podcast with
Bye.
Cal
We love you.
Nice dream.
Until next time. We'll see you for Dreamflix Season 2. That's going to come in April. Sometime in April. I don't have a date yet. I'll get you a date soon. Take care, everybody.